Does it feel like the older you get, the stiffer you get, the less strength you have, the less stamina that you have? Think it's only because of your age or genetics? What if I told you that the top 3 reasons for your stiffness are things that you can change in your life? Stay tuned and I'll share with you later. Oh, don't forget, be sure to subscribe down below, ring the bell, and share this with your friends if you think it will help. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. My name is Butch Phelps. I'm a functional massage therapist, and today we're going to talk about the 3 top reasons that most people as they age feel stiffer. It's a really tough thing because all of our friends will tell us over and over, well, you know, as you get older, you need to slow down. Well, you know, as you get older, you put on a little more weight. Well, you know, as you get older, you just can't quite do the things the way you used to do them. And some of that might be true to an extent, but the majority of it is strictly all within your power to change. So I want to talk about the 3 top reasons that people as they age feel stiffer and stiffer, and let you know that in these top 3 things, you have control to solve most of it. Surprised? Yes. So here they are. So let's start out with tight muscles, stiff joints. Now, one of the things that I notice with most of my clients as they get older is that they tend to tell each other to slow down. The reality is that's probably the worst mistake you could ever make as you get older. The thing is that once we pass age 30, we start losing muscle mass every decade and basically every year of our life till the day we die. So you're fighting a losing battle right off the bat, but it's not a battle that you can't combat. So what can you do to stop that? Do strength training. Now, I'm not talking about bodybuilder type strength training. You could do strength training by just practicing getting up and down out of a chair without using your hands. You could do strength training by lifting jugs of water or anything that has weight to it. You could even do things like push-ups, or you could do planks, or you could do crunches with your body to start building back that strength. And the thing is that as you're building it back, you slow that process of losing that muscle mass. And the reason that is important is that as you lose that muscle mass, what happens is it becomes more difficult to stand up. It becomes more difficult to walk any distance at all. It becomes very difficult to hold on to things and to lift things to move them around. Now, what I've seen with my clients, because I have some amazing clients, is that I get people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who are doing things like riding bike for 40 miles a day, playing tennis 4, 5, 6 times a day. One guy runs his own ranch and he's over 90 years of age. And so the thing is it's not that there's some superhuman group of people, but because they've maintained their muscle mass and their strength, even at 80 and 90 years of age, they are able to actually keep working their bodies. The other thing is stamina. I hear a lot of older people who will say to me, I just feel tired, I feel fatigued all the time. You cannot sit in a recliner or sit all day long and think you're not going to be tired, because your muscles will atrophy. And so by getting up and walking around, you don't have to set speed records, you don't have to walk miles and miles and miles, but the choices that you make and what you do every day will determine how much stamina you have. So for instance, for me, instead of going up and down an elevator or going up and down escalators, I prefer going up and down steps. So I'm in my 60s, so the thing is that when I go to places that I'm going to be up north, I was up north last week where there was a hilly mountainous area, and I was walking uphill, downhill, over rocks and so forth. I never got tired because every day of my life, even though I live in Florida where it's flat, I choose stairs over escalators and elevators. When I park my car at a store or a restaurant, I don't try to get the first space next to the door. I'll actually choose to park further away to extend how much far I have to walk to get there. And so by doing choices like that, what you start to do is you increase your stamina in your body that will allow you to walk better. This will improve your heart, this will improve your ability to breathe, and it'll also cause you to burn more calories. So it's the daily choices that you do all the time. Too many times when people think about strength training, they think of a bodybuilder, they think of having to go to a gym and work hours and hours and hours. And you can go to the gym, you don't have to lift 1,000 pounds. I mean, you don't need to at 68 to lift the same amount of weight you did at 18. But the point is that you want to be able to keep lifting things that are heavy, keep dealing with resistance, because as you do that, now what happens is that you're increasing their muscle mass instead of just losing it. Now, I do realize that when we're in our 20s, we're at the peak of that muscle mass building stage. And so at 68, your muscles aren't going to look the same as they did at 18. And they don't have to. The point is you want to be able to move any way that you want. In other words, you want to be able to get up out of a chair without having to fight, hold on to the handles. You want to be able to walk as far as you want to walk on any given day. And again, we're not talking about marathons. We're not talking about something extreme. We're talking about just living your life daily. Because if you don't do those things, you will eventually wind up with walking sticks and being in walkers and into wheelchairs and so forth. Now, flexibility plays a huge role with this. The flexibility then increases the lubrication in your joints because your body naturally puts in what's called synovial fluid, which is like a WD-40 into your joints and into your disc, which causes lubrication. That ability to be flexible and move the joints and move the spine will take away a lot of tension on the bones, which will allow the bones to become stronger and also give you the movement where it doesn't take near as much energy to move. Many times I watch older people walk across the floor, and it's taken so much more energy for them to move one leg out in front of the other that it's almost like they have a young child hanging on each ankle as they take a step. The thing is what we want is to have that flexibility with the strength so that as you take a step, it takes half the energy that it normally takes other older people as you see them walk around. The burning of calories is going to help with your weight because the more you can move, not only will you be having more fun and you'll feel much better, but you're going to sleep better. You'll wake up less tired. You'll also have the ability to protect your joints and to protect your spine, and most importantly, to reduce your inflammation in your body as well. Now, number 2 is diet. Think about your car. If you have a sports car, the first thing that the owner's manual will tell you is that you need to have premium gasoline in this car. And I always tease my young athletes about, treat your body like it's a Ferrari. And in a Ferrari, you have to put premium gasoline into that car. Well, you could put regular gasoline in the car, but over time it's not going to run quite right. But if you put sugar water in that car, it's definitely not going to work right. So when you look at the diet that you eat, what happens is that for most people, they try to cut out something completely. Somebody said to them that carbohydrates are bad, so boom, I'm going to have a no-carb diet. Fat is bad, so boom, I'm going to have a no-fat diet. And the truth of the matter is, every decade of your life, you need to change how you eat and how you prepare your body for your day-to-day activities. Like I said, under tight muscles and stiff joints, every year you lose muscle mass, which means we need to be taking in more protein each decade of our lives to help improve the ability to build more muscle mass along with the movement. So the protein in your diet becomes more important as you age than it was when you were 20 years old. By doing that, and then doing the movement and the strength training, now you have an opportunity to build that muscle mass back up so that your body can function and move the way that it's supposed to. Carbohydrates is an interesting part. Now, our bodies need carbohydrates, but there's 2 different types. There are simple carbohydrates like breads and pastas, white rices and white flours and so forth. And then there are complex carbohydrates, which are like fruits and vegetables. The complex carbohydrates are very important to have in your body because it creates fiber in your body, and that fiber forms like a gelatinous coating on the inside walls of your intestines, and it reduces your absorption of glucose or sugar into your bloodstream. which can help you with things if you're diabetic. It can help you if you're trying to lose weight. Now, I've lost, and some of you have heard me say this before, over 130 pounds of weight in my lifetime. From 1997, I lost 105 pounds, and in 2020, I lost 30 pounds there. And I did it strictly by eating a more plant-based diet, 70-75% plants, 20% meat, and then 5% simple carbohydrates. The thing is that as you create a diet and you think about how the food converts into your body once it goes in, then the brain then can look at fuel that's going to be good fuel for your body to burn, which would be fat. If you have a diet where you're eating processed foods and baked goods and so forth, what happens is you're getting these glucose energy spikes, which increases inflammation. It does give you energy, I'll give you that, but the brain looks at burning the easiest fuel to burn, which at that moment will be glucose. So no matter how much movement that you do, you're not going to burn any of the fat until it burns off all the glucose. So it's important to understand that when you're eating baked goods and you're eating the simple carbohydrates, you are spiking your glucose levels in your body, which increases the spikes of insulin, which at some point could lead to insulin resistance in your body, which is not a good place to be. More importantly, those foods can actually increase inflammation in your body, including your brain. Now, when most of us hear about inflammation, we think of inflammation in our joints, inflammation around our heart, but the truth of the matter is it inflames the brain as well, and when you do that, now all of a sudden your memory is not quite as good as it could have been. Your cognitive processes of processing things in your brain are not as quick as it used to be. And it will even affect your sleep. So you become tired during the day, you take naps during the day, and then at night when you try to go to bed, you have a difficult time going to bed, and you always seem to wake up a little tired. And that's where it starts to get you. Because then all of a sudden, you just don't have the stamina to move. I can tell you from my own experience, by eating a diet that is more plant-based, but with good clean meats, for me, I can sleep all night long rock solid, wake up in the morning totally refreshed at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, head to the gym, and just start my day off, and I feel great all day. I can tell you that I rarely feel a lack of energy in my body, period, no matter how much work I do during the day. And so much of that is contributed from the foods that I eat and the activities that I do each and every day. The third step in this process is your emotional state. Now, when you look at the muscles of the human body, they are controlled 100% of the time by the brain. So if you are a warrior, if you're a person who is angry all the time, if you're a person who stresses about everything that's happening, your muscles will be tired because they are tight all day long. And so think about if you took like a tennis ball and you squeeze it in your hand all day long, at some point during the day your hand and your arm would get very tired, right? When you are stressing or when you are worried all day or you're in a state of angst all day, because your brain is in that state, your muscles are in that tightened state like gripping that tennis ball, and that creates a lot of fatigue. And it also burns a lot of energy in your body, but it also increases inflammation in your body as well. So your emotional state becomes real important. The interesting thing about these three things is they're all interrelated. Because if I'm eating good food, if I'm exercising and taking care of my body, my emotional state seems to be much better. And so when you see someone who's not exercising, they're sitting in their recliners all day long, they're eating processed foods all during the day, they are tired all day long, and I get it. They're tired, they're miserable, their body starts to ache as they try to move. They don't have the energy, so they're upset they can't do the things they used to do. They look in the mirror, they gain 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds, so they feel bad about how they feel. So then all of a sudden the emotional state just drops to the ground. Here's what's funny about this, or funny in an ironic way I should say, is that when I work with young athletes who are just pumping weight and building muscles, their young bodies at 15, 16, 18 years of age come in, their bodies are hard as a rock. And what is interesting is that at those ages, in their teens, their bodies can be just as stiff as somebody who's 70, 80 years old. And the reason is that they haven't focused on their diet. They haven't focused on their flexibility. They've just focused on building muscles bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, in their case, they're still growing. So if you think about for them as young people in their teens, their bones are getting longer, but their muscles are getting tighter. You can see that war starting right off the bat, which can later lead to injuries for them. Then when you throw in the fact that they're eating a diet, it's typically processed foods, now all of a sudden they're not even getting the fuel their bodies need to really be able to grow the way they should. So when you understand about the aging process, that the diet, the strength training, the emotional state becomes important, that is something that we can start teaching our children as they go through their lives, so that once they hit 30 and they start losing muscle mass, their aging process will be far different than what it's been in the past. For you, if you're already in that aging process where you're 50, 60, 70 years of age or older, you can still shift your body. I did at 40, and the thing is that once you shift your body, now all of a sudden, you can start to feel better, you'll start to do things more, your brain will become sharper. I can remember when I was 37 years old, 36 years old, I weighed 315 pounds. I didn't want to do anything with anybody anywhere. 36 years old. I felt like an old guy. I'd been a three-sport athlete. I was not used to not being able to do things. But I noticed I was making a lot of mental errors. I noticed that I wasn't sleeping as well. And I noticed that my body just kept feeling like crap, to be honest with you. And I remember going to a doctor at 36 years of age, and she took my vitals, and what she found out was my vitals were off the charts. And she said to me, if you don't change your lifestyle, you may have a stroke by the time you're 40 years old, or a heart attack. Well, I have to tell you, that woke me up in a heartbeat. She helped me in creating a better diet because she had gone back to school and studied nutrition, but she taught me how important the brain was into that diet, and to understand how what I put in my mouth, how it converts in my body. And once I got that, then choosing good foods were no longer an issue. There was no form of deprivation at all. That's the thing, is that as you understand what your body actually needs, there is no need for deprivation. When you understand how good the walking is for you, you understand how much better you're going to feel by doing it. And I'll be honest with you, when you first start doing it, the walking and so forth, it's not necessarily going to feel great. But what it will do is over time, you'll start to notice you can walk a little farther, you can walk a little faster, you can move a little better. And as you do that, that will change your emotional state. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If it is, please, again, subscribe down below so that you can get videos every week. Share this with your friends. Please leave me comments. Tell me your stories. Let me know what's going on with you. Any questions you have, please ask anytime. And as always, till next time, see ya.